Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. We start tonight with some sad news. Obviously, James, who is a regular on the show, sadly his mum passed away Saturday afternoon during the game, I believe. I may be wrong, but yeah, obviously it was an emotional day for a lot of people, but more so for James. We here, me, Daniel, and Steve, we reach out to James, and we all send our condolences to him and his family, and all what they're going through. And we just all again just want to say condolences to him, his brother and his dad and any other family members. But yeah, sad news. But just to say that we are thinking of you, man, and hopefully. And hopefully, when we're here for you, basically, and yeah, just stay in there, and we're there for you. But yeah, hopefully we'll see James soon in the near future. So yes, an emotional weekend, let's say, and a very happy one, obviously tinged with sadness. And obviously since we last had a show, we beat Everton 4-0, which was quite comfortable in the end. Daniel was there, obviously. Hopefully, you've seen his vlog. Daniel was also there on Saturday to witness the absolute carnage that happened at the Emirates Stadium. And I'll start with you, Dan. Obviously, an amazing win, a 3-2 win against Bournemouth, who, to their credit, played, did their part in a great game. I think they played well. Yeah, shout out to Philip Billing. I thought he played really well. He was very, very influential in the first half. But we'll go from the beginning, Daniel. And firstly, were you in your seat in time for the first goal? And were you still in your seat at the end as well?
Okay. The truth of the matter is, now I wasn't in my for the opener. Missed it completely. Like, nice blink and that's it, gone. Boom. Yeah, I missed it. I just heard the cheering from outside, but it sounded like a very muted cheer. So I thought to myself, Bournemouth has scored. But I was like, nah, can't. It was just kicked off. But yeah, it was the worst. My fears were realised when I walked in and I saw 0-1 on the board, and everybody's face was initially a bit sad, but that quickly turned into cheers. Honestly, it didn't last long. It was just that initial silence, and then everybody just started singing Arsenal, Arsenal.
Yeah. It was stunning, wasn't it? It was crazy. I mean, I show this as well because obviously this is the moment of kickoff, and this is what a lot of people have sort of gone back to. And I think I can't remember. I think it might have been Graham Poll who might have said it in an article he does. He said this goal should have been disallowed.
As you can see, look at that.
As you can see, there's a couple of players. I think there's 4 players who are in Arsenal's half before was it Solanke that actually kicked it. So that goal technically should have been disallowed, and obviously it set up the whole drama that was to follow. But they're in with VAR and everything and all the technology. You think things like that would be looked at. I think it's something that we discussed on the last show, that goals. In the NFL, when a touchdown is scored, they review it. Obviously, they're more efficient in terms of doing it, but they review that to the 9th degree. And if something like that leads to the goal, it only takes you 9 seconds to go back to check to see, okay, when it was done, is it a legal goal? And you can see clearly there, no, it's not. So again, if things hadn't worked out how they worked out, I'm sure we would have got another, email from Hal Webb. Oh, sorry, another like Brentford email. They would have just copied and paste job. Just when you go into emails, you can resend the email. You just go in and resend the email and just crib out Brentford and put in Bournemouth. Begin with B as well. Just have that there. But yeah, that was an amazing start. Steve, what was your go through your head at the moment? At that moment, because it seemed to you know, I know Daniel was saying the fans were back on side, but we just looked a little bit nervy. And things seemed to be looking like they were going wrong because obviously later on we had the Trossard injury, and then we had the save from Ramsdale.
Yeah, I mean, shell shocked was the first initial thought when the goal went in, because you do, as Daniel said, the atmosphere, and I think everybody at home was watching it going, what, they scored? Because it's a moment of disbelief. And even at 1-0, you sort of go, oh, okay, we can do this. We're fine. But you're still a bit shell-shocked that goal's gone in and you can't quite work out. And then, like VAR has the benefit of replay. So they can see the goal shouldn't have been disallowed. Never discussed. It's never discussed. You know, that and the handball decisions, nothing was discussed. But we went 1-0 down. We've won more points from losing positions than any other team in the league. And I think that says a lot.
Yeah, it does. It does. You've got to give credit to Ramsdale, though, because he done a couple of incredible saves. The one in the first half was huge. You know, that was the goal. You know, 9 times out of 10, that's a goal, isn't it?
Just to comment on that save, that's at that point, I think everybody thought that's a goal.
Yeah.
And somehow Super Ramsdale just made himself big and not only got something on it, but it's cleared.
Yeah.
So I remember when we first signed him, and you know, there were fans just like not quite sure and stuff like that. And I said, again, I don't usually tweet players or anything like that, but I think his brother had tweeted or something, and I replied to it just saying, yeah, look, at some point fans will be singing his name when he comes to save us, and he was brought in for a reason. And man, what a save! What a save!
Amazing, ridiculous save. That literally, that when you look back, hopefully we'll look back on a successful season, and it will be this game that everyone will be talking about, but it will be that save particularly that people will be talking about. And obviously the one in the second half was important as well. But Daniel, in terms of how things are going at the moment, in terms of the squad, in terms of the injuries, especially the first half, we had the Trossard injury. Eddie was out already. He got a knock right at the end of the Everton game, and I think he was carrying something anyway. Is there a worry now? I mean, what would you? Is it pretty straightforward? What we do now? We just play Martinelli up top and just.
Yeah, I think you know, injuries are part of the game. It's the point of the season where players are going to start going down more frequently, because you know, the more games are played, the more prone you are to muscle injuries and stuff like that, especially when there's a lot of games as well, with the Europa League coming back as well. It's a good job that we're quite interchangeable up top. You know, we've got several players that can play in and around different positions. Incidentally, Eddie probably needed a bit of a rest anyway, to be honest. Not that the injury it's not a matter of fortune. We would rather have him in the squad, obviously, but with Trossard going down, hopefully it's nothing too major. But looking on the bright side, Reiss Nelson, what's that like? How many appearances is it? What's that? 2 appearances, 5 goals and 3 assists or something like that?
Yeah, so I think it was like something. He's made 3 appearances.
3 appearances and 4 or 5 goals. So his numbers, obviously based on a small sample, but it's looking good. And I've believed in Reiss Nelson for a long time. I remember when he was about 17, my uncle said to me, "Watch out for this kid. He's going to be good." And at that time, he was just a rampaging winger. At that time,
he's made 3 appearances so far this season. All his sub.
Yeah,
and he scored 3 goals. So.
It's 3 goals and 2 assists. Was it?
Yeah.
So 5 goal contributions in 3 games. I mean, that's good. I just hope that he can stay fit, because obviously we've got Trossard out now for we don't know how long. We've got Eddie's injury as well. So good to see Smith Rowe back as well. Obviously he didn't manage to last the whole game, but we couldn't have expected him to anyway.
No.
So at least we've got Emil and we've got Reiss back in the squad. So I
mean, 3 goals in 3 substitute appearances. That's the stuff like Richarlison would be dreaming of stuff like that. Having stuff like that, man. I mean, damn. That's something, man. But 60 million. Anyway, so just the only thing is worried, which, obviously with the injuries, Mr. Gabriel Jesus was doing a warm down. I think played a short game. Apparently there was contact, so he was getting tackled and things like that. I think he scored a goal even. And there was a nice picture with him and his girlfriend, wife, with his little girl as well. Is there a worry that we maybe have to rely on him a little bit earlier than needed? Because obviously, again, looking at what Elmer Smith Rowe, he was obviously taken off because I think Arteta said at the end, we didn't expect him to play 70 minutes. He hasn't, his legs isn't there. He probably would have been ideal when we come on 20 minutes maybe. But he did it the other way around. But, are you just thinking just park Jesus to after the international break, or do you think he might even feature on the bench maybe against Fulham, or are you just thinking no, just wait till maybe or Palace maybe, which is the next one?
I think Arteta knows that if we take a risk and it doesn't pay off, then we're in an even worse position. I don't think he's gonna risk it. It's good to see Jesus back, and I think he will do everything he can to be selected. And unlike the younger guys, he's played more football, so he'll be more ready at some point as well. But I can't see him being rushed back. I don't think Arteta is that sort of manager to rush a player back. I think he'll listen to his staff, his team.
Yeah.
He'll be asking them the questions, of course, and rightly so. But I think he'll be listening to his staff and his team. And if they say he's not ready, he won't play. I don't think it's worth the risk. As Daniel said, we've got Reiss James coming back. We've got Smith Rowe. We've got Martinelli that can play there. If need be, we've got youngsters that we can call in as emergency. But I think we've got enough quality there. It's just unfortunate with the younger players. When you look at Eddie, Smith Rowe, and probably Reiss Nelson, they haven't played the minutes that like a Saka has played, for example. So you might go, oh yeah, maybe they needed a rest, but when you're playing and you've been playing solidly, and you look at Saka, he just gets stronger. I don't know how. Like he's probably eating some ground rice or something. I don't know. Like the boy is strong. So so he's eating ground rice at home while everybody else is on a strict diet, and he's just like, no, I'm good in it. So it's just minutes. And the more minutes you play, the more accustomed you are to the league, and the more you're able to take those knocks and brush them off and get up. That's why Saka, bit of magic tape around his leg, get back on and still produce, and that will come with minutes. So I don't think there's any risks worth taking any risk, because if you risk it and it doesn't pay off, and then you could potentially be without Jesus for a longer period, and then Trossard, we're not sure. Hopefully, it's not too long. And then again, Nketiah, again, we're hoping it's not too long. And your three main attacking threats are all out, so it's not worth the risk.
Yeah, because it was interesting. Obviously, going back onto the Bournemouth game, we go 2-0 down from the corner. Partey loses his man. Pretty bad defending. Again, another goal we've conceded at set piece. But then he steps up. So the three goal scorers are unlikely heroes, sort of thing. Obviously Saka and Martinelli and Trossard. Obviously he was injured after 22 minutes. But it's kind of good in the sense that we can get goals from those. People step up. Certain points, and obviously Partey gets us back in, scores that goal to put it back, and then your boy. Ben White scores his first goal. And I thought of you as soon as that went in. I'm thinking, yes, you're doing the magic in wherever you're watching it.
Ready, Blanco.
Yeah, absolute madness. And then the stats of that game was pretty ridiculous from what I gather. What we were doing, we just obviously used their down. The way that we were playing, we weren't panicking, were we? In terms of the way we were playing, we were still playing the way that we've played all season, which is working the ball into areas, into angles to cut it back. What was the up until the goal? Obviously, we'll talk about the goal in a minute. But what was were you thinking at 2-2 when White, that's it, we're going to get another one, or was there any point where you just thought, oh, that's it, we're not, it's just not meant to be to get that extra one?
Do you know, at no point, I must say, I'm in clock end upper block 128, and all the guys, shout out to block 128 clock end if any of you are watching. At no point did anyone drop their head. At not one point did anyone say, oh, you know what, it's 2-0, I'm going home. There was no booing, no cussing. It was just literally support. Even after the second goal went in, people just started, again, like when the first one went in, just started singing Arsenal, Arsenal, come on you Arsenal. And the ground was literally rocking, even at 2-0 down, man. It's really amazing to be there and to be in the atmosphere. There's just no negativity at all. At all. There's no one berating any player. There's no one kind of shouting abuse at any player at all. It's just such a positive environment. It's a really great place to be at the moment. So it was just it was nice to witness that even at 2-0 when your team have been playing so well. As you said, Mike, we played the way we have been all season. Patience, loads of patience. And the fans haven't been losing it neither. So loads of possession, working the ball into different positions, wide, trying to go through the middle. But the thing I like about what we're doing is as well, we're trying to attack from the wide positions as well. Remember under Wenger, sometimes we're a bit guilty of trying to do too much tick-a-tacker to cut through the middle. But we're really making use of our wide players a lot now. And that's why Ben White is so important to us, is really because he can obviously do that overlap with Saka.
Yeah.
From that marauding position, he got a goal and an assist. So that's quite an important aspect of our play. And it's good to see us mixing it up. We can put obviously we ain't got no tall forwards in there, but we're not scared to put balls in, take shots. It's just a patient build-up thing, and utilize the pitch, utilize those talents that we got. It was a bit of a shame for Vieira that he couldn't have been a bit more impactful in the game. Obviously Arteta gave him a chance to shine, to see what he could do, but ultimately, he did all right. I'm not going to criticize him, but just once it was Xhaka and Partey, we just had that control. We just felt something was going to happen. Yeah.
I think. I don't think it's over-exaggerating a bit in terms of if we'd have lost that game of Saturday, the damage it would have done potentially, not just for the confidence and for the situation, it would have been down to 2 points, but just think for Arteta in terms of the doubt it might have put in for, like, okay, I've rotated a bit. I've brought Tomiyasu in, I brought Vieira in, and we're losing 2-0 at home to Bournemouth. Not putting it on those two players, but it's just the what we talk about, the levels and the systems and things like that. And and it's not only the doubt of Arteta. It's like, I'm giving you guys a game at home against the team at the bottom, and you both. I mean, Tomiyasu, we all love Tomiyasu, but he's not the same guy. He was really poor on Saturday, and Vieira, again, wasn't really making those incisive passes. It was very safe, like 5-yard passes this way and sideways and stuff. And if Arteta's having doubts, going to have doubts, on those guys, the players around them are going to have doubts as well. Saka won't be able to know full well that, okay, for example, he's got that link with Ben White, and he knows if he's got the ball, he knows he's got that confidence in this guy. He's going to put it this way. If he sees Tomiyasu having a difficult game and not hitting the levels, he's not going to go that extra 2 or 3 yards and maybe expose a gap. He's going to probably restrict himself a little bit, and the same on the other side with Vieira. So I'm kind of thinking it's great that we've won. Obviously, it's fantastic that we've won, but I just think if we'd have lost that, the impact it would have had, not just on the result, but just the confidence in the team and the trust from Arteta and the players towards players that have come in. The levels are dropping again, and I think that's probably what him and his team will be analysed. And obviously, because then we've got Lisbon. And what do you do in that instance? Do you rotate a lot, or do you play the same team again? So obviously we'll talk about that in a minute. But we'll come to the moment which People are saying obviously the biggest moment at the Emirates, or it's up there with the Barcelona Arshavin goal, the Welbeck goal. Reiss Nelson. So when he went to the corner, Steve, and Dan obviously is watching it. When it go, I'm just not thinking. I'm just thinking, all right. Zinchenko's had that shot and it's deflected wide. As soon as the guard hangs it in the air and the Bournemouth player hits it, heads it away. That's it. He's blowing up. But then obviously an absolute madness happens. And were you in the same seat then, Daniel, when that happened, or were you in another seat, or what row were you in when that went in?
Same place, man. And you know what? Nobody left. Everybody was stayed in anticipation. The ref, I must give props to the ref, apart from the handball shouts, which obviously that really was down to VAR to pick. Same with the kickoff at the beginning as well.
Yeah.
But a shout out to the ref for adding on the time on top of extra time, because Bournemouth really took liberties with how long they were taking with throw-ins, goal kicks, rolling on the floor.
Yeah.
There was one point, I think there was one player that was down in the 90-odd minute, and he was actually giggling. He was actually doing laughing.
Yeah, there was Smith. As soon as it went to injury time, he went down in the box, and that was the moment that added on another minute. And when they put up the board, it's a minimum of that time. So if there's obviously an injury within that time, say someone goes down with a head injury and it takes 2 minutes, the referee's going to add the 2 minutes on. I don't get why people are talking about Arteta walking around or going to the fourth official saying it was 7. I'll just throw that up there, saying he was saying 7 minutes, but obviously tell me another. But yeah, so obviously if someone gets injured and sad, let's say it's a bad injury, and it takes 5 minutes or whatever, so that 5 minutes is going to be added on. It's just not going to forego it and say, oh, it's happened in injury time. They add it on. So that guy went down and it added on, and just what happens. We've seen all the clips. We've seen all the images. We've seen, Steve's boy Benny Blanco giving it to the keeper.
Love it.
Giving it to Raj, and the keeper was just about to do something back, but White just jogged off. Or Odegaard just doing what a lot of people did. Just relief. But yeah, what was that like, man? In at the time, Dan?
It was amazing. Do you know what? Everybody was jumping all over each other, and that you barely was even focusing on what the players were doing because everybody was just hugging and high fiving. So yeah, it was a nice moment. I think on reflection, when I left, even though everybody was elated and everyone was happy at the end after the final whistle, when I'd left and just before I did the vlog, I was kind of reflecting a little bit. I thought, wow, we're in a title race. We're nervous. That's why, really we're thinking Bournemouth at home. Full, literally, virtually, apart from Jesus, most of our best players were there. This should be relatively enjoyable afternoon, but it was anything but until the end. Do you know what I mean? So on reflection, I was reflecting on the way back, and I was like, you know what? There was a little bit of annoyance there that we had to do it that hard way because we don't want to be showing, like, in terms of the mental side of things, we don't want to be showing the stronger teams that are yet to play us that actually Arsenal can be got at in certain ways. If Bournemouth can do it, then we can do it even worse. That's the only thing I would say. But
yeah, I mean, people have been saying stuff, Steve, about the celebrations, and I guess we should do our civic duty because obviously we're getting charged. We're apparently getting charged for this. There's 60,000 witnesses there, so if you want to call up and call the celebration hotline, and that will get you right through to the FA, and then if you might get a cash reward, or you may get points deducted the way they're going. I think that's what they want to do to us. But yeah, celebration police hotline. Yeah, that's a nonsense as well with that about having a look at that and not having a look at all the other things that happened. Obviously, like you said, Tomiyasu foul in the first half. that was ridiculous. You know, they're saying they didn't have enough angles to see if that was a foul or not, but you can see on the image that his legs ahead of the guy who kicked him, so he's kicked through him, and it's a foul. But yeah, yeah, Steve. I mean, what will this do? I mean, people are again saying, "Oh, we're over celebrating or whatever," but in terms of the belief and everything, what will this do? Will this be like a wake up call? Because people are saying, "Oh, yeah, you beat Bournemouth 3-2 at home." People forget when Man City have won 2 of their titles on the last day of the season at home against teams that they should have really packed. Really, one was QPR, that was basically relegation. Some of those goals were dodgy that went in. That's another story. And obviously Aston Villa last season, and that we're coming to the running. You're effectively in the running now, especially when we hit April. But this is what happens now. It's all about having the mental fortitude, Steve, now, isn't it? And just doing enough to get over the line, because the teams who were taking it easy, or maybe not taking it easy, but teams like Bournemouth have realised now, like, we need to fight for every game because you might get relegated. Everyone, this is it. Unless you're in mid-table and you're practically safe, any other game against any team either side of that, it's going to be a tough game, isn't it?
Okay, so I'm going to touch on a couple of points very quickly, Subby. If I speak too quickly, ignore it. It's just the way I am. Between last place and I think about 12th place or something like that, the bottom 7 teams, there's 4 points between them. Everybody's fighting for a win. Okay, It's not easy. When you look at our game against Bournemouth and that last goal, just to quickly touch on it, it was a heart in mouth moment. Everything went slow motion because you just go,
yeah.
Mate, it was mad. I think I scared my kids a little bit. So yeah, I mean, look, we celebrate how we want, to be perfectly fair, and I don't really care what anybody else says about it. If you can't celebrate a win, then there's no point turning up. Whether it's 1-0, 4-0, 9-0, 7-0, or whatever it may be, you celebrate. When you win the way we won, you celebrate even harder because it means that a little bit more. This is the business end of the season. When we had some Wenger teams, as we were not at our competitive best, we'd win our first 5, 6, 7, 8 games and we'd look pretty. But then when it come to the business end of the season, we just weren't doing it.
Yeah,
and we weren't getting these wins. We weren't coming back against teams like Villa and winning 4-2. We weren't after losing to Everton a few weeks before. We weren't going then coming to our home ground and then beating them. We weren't going 2-0 down and then scoring in the 97th minute. It's still the 96th minute, by the way. So it's into this 97th minute. So it's just over. But one thing I said to a lot of people that I was like messaging and stuff like that afterwards, it was, we chose to win. And that's an Arteta mentality. Okay. Yeah. Pep has it. Wenger had it. Fergie had it. Your best coaches had it. And I say that because that's a dig at Jose. He was get a result.
Yeah.
Whereas those other coaches that I mentioned were all get a win, not get a result. A draw is a result, but it's not a win, is it? Get a win, and the players are choosing to win. They're choosing to play their game. That's installed. Arteta's always talking about it. Show your personality, show your character, control the game, play your game. Don't play their game, play your game. They played their game right to the very end, and then slow motion happened, and then it went in. I mean, come on. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those moments where it'll be talked about as much as the Ramsdale save, because a player coming back from injury, everybody knows how he has been, and how the players have seen him in training. The players talked about it themselves. Man, happy for the lad.
Yeah, you saw the reaction. You saw how everyone went to him. Genuinely went to him and was so happy for him. It wasn't just like a high five and go back. They were bear hugging him. They were slapping him on the back of the head. After the game, he was getting bear hugged by. There was one really great shot where Saka and Martinelli are walking towards him, and they just like embrace. And it's like, yeah, because they know that this kid has had such tough luck with injuries and setbacks, and maybe it's just like maybe growing pains, maybe the same thing that ESR is going through. It's people linked to his groin issues. It's the same how Gerrard was when he was coming through, and he had a lot of problems, and he was injured quite a lot as he was coming through, and then obviously he grew out of it and became the player he was. So you hope that's the same thing with those two, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like with Jack Wilshere, really, again, where he had so much ability, but he was never, he was hardly ever fit. And one of the things is with ability, we talk about players' ability, but the best ability as for a footballer is availability, to have that, to be available for your manager to rely on you to come on and play and do a job. To be available, just make yourself be available. That's the best ability you can have. Forget about whatever you can do. Whether you're a fidget spinner like Anthony or whatever. If you're available and you can, and it gives the manager options, that's it. But if you're not, it's going to get to a point where decisions going to have to be made on your future. If you can't rely, we have to get someone else in who they can rely on, sadly, and that's what happened with Jack. So hopefully, what happened with Reiss Nelson and Emil Smith Rowe. But talking on that, obviously we've got a game back into European competition, Lisbon, and that's going to be a tricky one, I think, because they're a decent side. I think they're fourth on the table at the moment, and we'll talk about just what you guys will do leading up to that just after this. So Lisbon on Thursday, guys. What are you thinking, Dan? Are you going full strength for that game? So that means obviously Ben White, Liasu, and obviously Trossard's injured. So I imagine it will be Martinelli up front. But who are you putting in on the left hand side?
In terms of the squad, I'll definitely do a bit of rotation. We've just played 2 games in 3 games in a week, ain't we? Up until Saturday. Yeah. So yeah, definitely some rotation. Yeah. I'd stick Tommy in there. Tierney. Obviously, I wouldn't weaken it too much. I might even give a run out to Kiwior to be honest as well.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of the spine, I'll try and keep as much of it the same as possible. Probably in terms of the spine, I'll probably go Gabriel, Xhaka, and then one of Martinelli or Saka. He'll probably go with Saka, knowing Arteta. Yeah. But you've got to have some spine there. But I think we probably will rotate. I think it makes sense to rotate just to prevent any muscular injuries. But obviously we take the other players on and put them on the bench as well, just in case we need to bring on like Partey or Zinchenko or someone like that.
Yeah, obviously we've got Sunday to look at as well against Fulham, and I think they're losing 3-1 at the moment against Brentford. So that's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back. Would you do the same, Steve? Would you want to rotate? Would you want to play strong, get maybe the job done, then maybe pull people off, or give those guys like Kiwior, Tierney, some minutes, obviously, in a competitive game, which is going to be competitive over there. They're going to be well up for it. We've got, I think, what's the game? What's the name? Is it Carlos Edwards? They've got a striker who used to play for Tottenham, and he scored against them. I think he plays for them. He's a good player. He's a very good player. Got to keep an eye out for him. He's going to want to make a statement. But yeah, would you go strong, or would it be a mix, or what?
I think the European team that we've been using mostly is a combination of, Gabriel, just to give him a special mention, because the guy's a beast, man. He's done fantastically well. He's absolutely surprised me at how much how big a leader he's been in that back line, to be perfectly fair. He complements Saliba very well. So yeah, like James said, like Dan said, it will be Gabriel And I think he'll start Holding. I think that just makes sense. I don't think you can play too much of a risk of bringing in somebody that still hasn't played any minutes for you into such a game. I don't think it's worth that sort of risk. Tierney and Tomiyasu as well will play. I just think Xhaka's a machine, and yes, he was rested for the game and came on, but I mean, he's an absolute athlete, to be perfectly fair to him. And I've mentioned that before. He's always fit and he's always available, really. So he will play. I think Jorginho will play. I think he'll rest Partey. I think he'll want Partey for the Fulham game, and I think that makes sense. Again, Jorginho in Europe is it's probably suits him better. Yeah. I think we will see players like Nelson come in. I think we will see Saka definitely play out of the two. Matt Turner will definitely be in goal. I can't see that. I think he's a top keeper. I really do, and I think he'll put in another good performance.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. I think he's going to get those guys Holding. He'll bring in. Don't know whether he will play, like you said, play Kirill would probably be ideal for him to have a game, but would he totally play a brand new back four in that situation? No, I don't think so. So
might not.
Probably play Gabriel again, and then Holding. So I don't think Holding and Saliba is as sound as it is with Gabriel. Gabriel's the constant, isn't he? He's the rock that the defense sort of builds itself upon. And Turner coming in, got no problems with that because he looks like he's got what it takes to be a good number two. But also, if the opportunity arises, he'll be confident enough and solid enough to carry on there. So you're looking at what you're hoping for. Obviously a win, but what do you think it's going to be a tight one? Because I think they're a decent side. Obviously they beat Trophy Dodger FC in the Champions League, didn't they? And I think they drew the other game. They'll be up for it. It's against an English side at home. I'm sure it'll be packed house. What you thinking, Steve, in terms of?
I won't lie. I think they will definitely score. Them being the home team, and with the changes to our squad, I think they will definitely score. I'm hoping we have enough quality to see out the game and give us a bit of a cushion for the second leg. But it will be tight. It will be tight. I mean, I'll say 3-1 now. I'm still buzzing from the weekend, so I've got that head on.
Dan?
I think it will be a tight affair. Knowing that hopefully we'll have quality all the players are more or less quality, but knowing that we'll have our bigger players on the bench, which we assume Partey, Zinchenko, probably those are the main two in terms of players that would need a bit of a rest. But knowing that they'll be there to bring on if needed is a bit of assurance. But I think it's going to be. I'm taking a result as long as away from home. If we can nick an away goal, cool. If it's a 0-0 draw, I wouldn't mind that neither. Even if we lose 1-0, I'm not endorsing a loss at all. But I just think the confidence to bring it back home to the Emirates. I think it'll be a difficult place to go to. And I believe it'll be a narrow win for Arsenal. I think Steve might be right. I think they might score. I'm looking at it'll either be 1-0 to the Arsenal or 2-1 to the Arsenal.
He's got a lot to take on board now. Obviously, the fixtures are below there. Obviously Fulham. We've got obviously then Sporting Lisbon again, and then we've got Palace, which the last couple of seasons have been a bit of a tricky one for us. At home, especially. Obviously, we know what they did last year to us, but and then obviously there's an international break after that, and then we have the running. With 10 games to go, starting at Leeds.
That's it.
Obviously visit to Liverpool, who hit United for 7. yesterday, which was
7-up.
great entertainment. You know, driving back from Legoland and yesterday and flitting in and out of the radio, and obviously because family don't want to listen to football commentary, and then listening to these naff pop songs, and think, well, you know, you just quickly check what score is, and it's like, oh, it's 5. Oh, okay, and then go again, and it's like, oh, 6. That's your day. It'll be good tonight, and so that was good. I think we don't normally do this, but shout out to Liverpool Football Club for delivering probably the most deserved humbling.
Yes.
In Premier League history, because these guys, they won the Carabao Cup and the car boot cup, which Jack Sessions calls it on there, purely Arsenal car boot cup, and and they were saying they were back. They were saying they're going to win the treble.
Quad. They were talking about quad.
Talking about the quad.
Yeah. Gary Neville saying they're going to win. Yeah, their cheerleaders saying they're going to win the quadruple. And they got humbled, man. So thank you very much for that. Just don't go too crazy in a few weeks when we go up there. Hopefully we can get out of there with something. But thank you Liverpool FC for putting a cap on a memorable weekend. So obviously so we've got Fulham after that. Obviously we'll talk about that after. Again, we're just looking to get obviously Lisbon out of the way, aren't we, guys? And then obviously see where the land lies, and then rotate if possible again. See if Eddie's back to feature, because we're going to need the bodies. And I'm not worried about playing Martin Eddie up front. I think he obviously, we saw against Everton, which we haven't touched on, but what he did against Everton was really, really good. Just very direct and decisive, isn't he? So I mean, I'm not too worried on that. But before we go, just another shout out to the Arsenal women who won the Conti Cup,
brilliant,
against the rivals Chelsea yesterday. So again, a very, very good weekend.
And that was without Beth Mead and without
Miedemar, we're on down as well to our nemesis Kerr as well, who always seems to score against us, and then obviously Emma Hayes obviously came out with some pretty disrespectful comments about us, saying they haven't won any trophies, not knowing that Arsenal are the most successful women's side in history game. And then after that, you could see Katie McCabe drinking her tears out of that. So that was nice to see. But well done to the Arsenal women. And, hopefully that inspires the men to do the business and push on in the both competitions. So that's us today. Thanks very much for watching, Steve and Dan. Thanks so much for your time. As always, I'll always thank you for your time. We'll be back on Sunday night, and discussing hopefully another 3 points. I think it's going to be a tough one. I think it's still 3. I think it's 3-1, or it's about to finish 3-1 to Brentford. So Fulham are going to want to do something. Run of games that they've had hasn't been the best. They haven't pulled up too many trees. But actually, before we go, give me a second. Before we go, let's have a look at this. Let's just take this in. Because do it that much. We don't do it that much, do we, on here? But it's starting to get a little bit real now. As we reach, you look 26 games. It's almost before we know it, it's going to be like 30 something games, and we're going to be racing towards that game against Man City. And who knows what the point tally, because obviously they've got Champions League to deal with, to navigate as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's been memorable anyway. And again, thanks guys for sharing this run with me, with your time and your comments and your thoughts. It's been fantastic. But that'll be all from us tonight. Thank you again. We'll be back on Sunday night. And we'll hopefully be discussing a couple of good wins against Lisbon and Fulham. So all that's left is the usual. I've been Michael Harris. He's been Stephen Osakwe. and he has been Daniel James laid back. Daniel James just chilling
Chilling.
down there. And a fantastic weekend. Obviously, again, our thoughts are with James, and we'll see you soon, my friend, and take care and all the best. Come on, you Reds.